What's up YouTube, Webbers5 here. So as you guys might have seen from my recent videos, my locals recently had their World Championship celebration event to go alongside with the World Championship that was happening. So our event had 12 participants and I topped out in 5th place with my variant of Invoked Pendulum Magicians because since we were following the World Championship ban list, there's various hits to magicians in the OCG which naturally got applied to this one. And for my accomplishment in topping out in 5th place, making it into the top 8, I was able to walk away with this very lovely notepad for notes and duel, and also this very lovely deck card divider which features Sanctity of Dragon. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I missed out on the mat, which was quite unfortunate, but I'm very happy with these. So after you guys have seen some of the videos from it, I'm going to get into the profile. So, okay. Alright, so starting the profile off, we'll go with the main deck. So for the event, I was playing, for a natural staple, 3 copies of Chronograph and the 1 copy of Time Gazer. Not really going to go into too much details of why I'm playing specific cards. I'll only go into it for certain cards. So for this one, this is pretty standard. It's just a quick way to set up the Electromite play. Time Gazer can also come in handy to keep my scales from being destroyed every now and then if I summon him as a monster, which is rare, but every now and then it does come up, which can be helpful. Next to the lineup is triple Black Fang Magician, using this as the main scale 8 in the deck, because due to the hits of Harmonizing Magician to 1 in the OCG, I needed a bit more Black Fang just to keep myself conservative, to have a solid scale, solid scale 8. So yeah, his effects I don't find his effects come up too much, but like I said, it was mainly the scale 8 where I used him for. Also noticed during the tournament I kind of misplayed a few times, forgetting to use Black Fang's effect to halve stats, which could have given me the game quicker, but yeah, I just forget sometimes. Plus it was, again, the main scale, I didn't want to cost it too quickly. Next, I played 1 White Wing Magician. I generally play one copy of White Wing normal. I generally play 1 copy of White Wing normally, but decided to keep it in. I wasn't sure about playing it for the event, but because of the ban list hitting Harmonizing to 1, I thought it was the good idea to keep the White Wing in just to give me that additional tuner monster to make out my synchro plays. Also works out great turn 1 if I can pendulum summon the Harmonizing and then drop another White Wing from my deck. It lets me go into a double extension play of either like a synchro and a synchro and a rank 4, 2 synchros. It really depends on what I'm doing. Next up is Triple Purple Poison Magician. Guys, I do apologize if the light's reflecting off the cards in a bad way. That's just kind of how my room is. So yeah, Triple Purple Poison. This is probably one of the better magicians. He's a great way to out floodgates. He's a solid 2-1 defense if you just need to sit behind something for a bit. I know 2-1 isn't amazing, but it's something, and it's useful for just helping beat over big things every now and then. 1 Harmonizing Magician, because naturally in OCG Harmonizing's at 1, so I was only allowed to play 1. It wasn't so bad. Essentially, I just made this the main thing that I wanted to float off my Wisdom Eye straight away, just so I've got access to the Harmonizing Magician before I try anything else like Desires in the deck. So it wasn't great for me having Harmonizing at 1, but at least I found from it coming 5th, I can definitely work with it should this ever become a cut. Next, playing my standard double Oath Dragon, just for the main source of recovery from the extra deck so I can extend my plays. I don't really use it much as a monster. I feel 2 is the best number. 3, I see it too much when I don't want to. 1, it's kind of bad if I happen to lose it. So 2 is just the absolute perfect number for this card. Triple Wisdom Triple Wisdom Eye Magician. This is probably one of the reasons I did so well, because this card is still at 3. It just floats for any scale of my choice, so keeping the deck consistent. One Junkai. I don't use him for the absolute play because I don't play absolute in my build. I like him for his 2/5 stats as well as the light negation, which since a lot of decks can main deck light, so it's pretty useful in that. And for any matchups I had where light attribute monsters weren't an issue, it made for an easy side card. So that's it for the magicians I'm playing. Other stuff I was playing in the deck, so that was my standard 1 copies of Odd Eyes Dissolver, because I absolutely love him. He's my best way of making my best method of fusion summoning out Vortex, because most people would do the absolute play. I think Dissolver's really good, plus Dissolver gives me access to other kinds of monsters to use in my extra deck which help out, particularly like Gatling Ghoul. The number of times I've Gatling Ghouled for game has just been so useful. So still loving my Dissolver at 1, and I'd highly recommend at least trying it out. Other pendulums I'm playing, my mythical based engine of Triple Master Cerberus and two Jackal Kings. Just Cerberus. One of the main ways to turbo out the Electrum. Cerberus such Jackal King, plays Jackal King, special summon out the Cerberus, find a way to get another pendulum board, instant Electrum. And also another advantage I like about the Cerberus is that every now and then, if I've got a bad hand, which is quite rare, but sometimes I'll just use I'll use the Cerberus just to beat down the opponent, which isn't ideal, but it can work. If this ever gets ashed, it's kind of bad. Other than that, it seems to work fine. Jackal King works really well for his monster effect of negating monster effects, so that's pretty useful as well. And then final bits in the pendulum lineup were 1 Dark Worm and 1 Gate Zero. Dark Worm's at 1 in the OCG, so I had to cut him down. And still going with the 1 Gate Zero because if I use this for the Electromite play, this at least gives something I can pop off the Electromite if I don't want to pop any of my other pendulums that I've got in my hand. So it just gives me an easy way to pop something without losing too many of my good resources. So that's it for the pendulums that I'm playing. Other monsters I was playing in the deck were 2 copies of Alistair. So with the cuts to magicians from the Harmonizing and the Dark Worm, as well as a couple of other cards I was trying around with, I had about a good 4 to 6 slots left in my deck, so I decided to go for it and try Alistair, a small invoked engine with Alistair, because I thought since I play like triple Cerberus, that's additional light monsters that I don't really have any use for if I have them in my hand, so they make for easy like a Macabre. So that was the main aim of it, and frankly I really liked playing the Invoked. It was quite nice. I'm actually thinking about maybe trying the Invoked in the deck like permanently, but I'm not sure at the moment. Let me know what you guys think, if you think I should keep trying with the Magician Invoked or not. Next, for the event I was maining hand traps, particularly to go with the Invoked, so I've got fodder to make my fusion plays. So I was playing 2 Ash Blossom because Ash is at 2 in the OCG, and it's just one of those cards that's really good right now. And last monster I was playing were Triple Effect Veiler, because Veiler can just absolutely shut out a deck. If you use it on the absolute right monster at the right time, it can just completely shut down your opponent's game. Furthermore, Ash was kind of the same. Like in one of my matchups, I had Sky Strikers. Sky Strikers was one of those difficult decks that it's hard to Ash at the right time. I found the perfect time to Ash against them was at the end phase when they do the Shizuku effect to Surge. Because if Because if you attempt Ash against like an engage, it's not that great, because engage isn't once per turn, so if they've got multiple of them, they can just do it again. Shizuku is once per turn, so that's the absolute best time to Ash against them. And there's just so many good targets that I can use for... And there's just so many good targets in the game to use for Veiler, so I thought it was a really good idea to have the Veiler in there. Plus, sets up for the Plus, puts a light in my grave for me to go into a Macabre play if necessary. Next in the spell lineup, I was maining Triple Desires for the... just for a bit of hand advantage, try and get rid of some of the dead cards that might be not as good later. One Foolish and one Dragon Shrine just to try and get the Dark One in the grave. I was thinking about maybe pumping this up since Dark One was at 1, but then I thought that's potentially going to put too many bricks in my hand a bit later, and frankly it seemed to work out absolutely fine. And then to go along with the Invoked bits of the two Alistairs, playing 1 Invocation and 2 Magical Meltdown. I was thinking about playing 3 Magical Meltdown, but I felt it wasn't completely necessary for it, so I just kept it at 2, and it seemed to work fine. I didn't seem to have an issue with trying to see it when I needed to, and naturally just 1 Invocation because I don't want to draw into that, and since I was only playing 2 Invoked Fusion monsters, didn't seem much point in playing extra. So the main deck I was using was actually 41 cards. I wanted to play it at 40, but it was just so tight in space I couldn't figure out anything to cut. Like, maybe if I'd cut one of my hand traps, that probably would have been it, but most people I've found that in a deck where you don't really need hand traps that frequently, 5 hand traps is pretty much the magic number, and I completely agree, it worked out really well for it. So that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, I was running 1 Electromite, because it's the main link for Pendulums, and Electromite's at 1 in the OCG, so could only play. So for the World Championship, naturally Electromite was at 1, so could only play 1 of that. 1 Zephyr Metaltron for the main purpose of link extensions. It was a bit more difficult to go into without the second Electrum, but if, say, I was able to make a turbo play of drop an but it's pretty useful if I go like Electrum and then I use like a Floodgate like Bagooska on my first turn just to stop my opponent from going off. I can then go... So when I get to my second turn, assuming that my field stays the same, I can just detach one from the Bagooska to save it, do an Electromite play to put something back in my hand, and use the Electromite and the Bagooska to go into Metaltron and just extend off there. Next card I was trying out was 1 Triple Burst Dragon. One thing I noticed about my deck is that it's got really good negate options. However, my negates are absolutely the main negates that I use are absolutely worthless in the damage step. Triple Burst helps fill that reason, because Triple Burst can negate the activation of a spell card, trap card, or monster effect, but only during the damage step. And I have to say, this card came in absolute clutch when I was playing my round 3 match against Sky Strikers. So I basically hit over their Link monster. When they attempted the Ray to revive itself, that was my opportunity to use Triple Burst to negate the resurrection of Ray, and then I was able to just hit directly and steal the game. Another reason I put it in was for his secondary effect of piercing damage, which is pretty good since I don't have Starving Venom anymore. And then his third effect was to combo in with the last Link monster I'm playing in my deck. 1 Borreload Dragon, because there's just so many good situations Borreload is good. And furthermore, Triple Burst has the effect that you contribute that during the turn you contribute off in the turn that it wasn't special summoned to special summon back a Link 2 monster, and then you can special summon a dragon in your hand. There were like no times I had Dark One in my hand. There weren't many times I had to summon Triple Burst, but it did come in. But I felt it was just a nice option to help make into the Borreload if necessary. Next for the XZs, most of these are self-explanatory. Most of them are just for floodgate reasons. So, one Dweller for if I was doing a turn 1 extension play where I wanted to switch off the grave. One Narito, again extension play if I could get 2 level 6s, and spell and trap negation is just really good right now. One Baguska, again, like as I kind of explained earlier, really good turn 1 for if I want to set up Metaltron on my next turn, so pendulum stuff out, overlay 2 level 4s for Baguska and just stall it out. Made a pretty useful stall tactic in a couple of my games as well. Yeah, it was really useful. But Lost XZ's 1 Tornado Dragon. There were a couple kept this in the main deck in case I needed to find a way to get around an anti-spell. Actually did have an anti-spell dropped on me in one of my games, but I wasn't in the position to make 2 level 4s. So I wasn't able to bust out the Tornado. But Tornado is still just really good for generic spell trap floodgate removal. Synchros, I didn't really make too many of these, but most of them are just situational. So, 1 Ignista, standard non-targeting removal. 1 Omega, pretty useful. 1 Omega, pretty useful turn 1 if I drop multiple level 4s, particularly if I do harmonizing 2 level 4 and then 2 level 4s, including a Magician. I can use harmonizing to drop the White Wing from my deck, synchro into an Omega, use its effect to rip a card out the opponent's hand, and then float, and then go into like Baguska or something afterwards. And lots of synchro I'm playing. 1 Supreme Green Dragon Clearwing, just a great way just a great nice little way of a board wipe if necessary, and also also when he battles a monster, auto kill and burn, so gives the nice burn option as well. Unfortunately, due to the effect of Dark One being at 1, I wasn't ever in a position to manipulate his second effect of if he's in the grave to tribute 2 Supreme King Dragons to bring him back, because Dark One was at 1. And finally, fusions I'm playing. 1 Mechaba, because Mechaba's at 1 in the OCG, so otherwise I would love to have played more, but it's at 1. And then the other Invoked I was playing, 1 Purgatrio. Because I'm main decking Ash, I've also got Electrum, so it was probably the best second option I had, and the ability that it inflicts piercing damage was really useful as well, and it can attack all your opponent's monsters as well. So that was a really nice thing to go to if I was in the position that I'd just done a Baguska and then extended it to Metaltron, so then all of my opponent's monsters are in defense mode. Defense is normally lower than attack, so some of the Purgatrio gains multiple points, then just smack over everything. Then next up, 1 Gatling Ghoul. This is really good if I have a way to get Dissolver out in my opening hand, and I can just extend with lots of Ling. I can just extend with a lot of monsters. Just a great way to get that little bit of additional burn damage if I've just missed the OTK by a little bit. It was also very useful for times when I had Dissolver on the field and I forgot to use the effect of Black Fang to halve my opponent's monster stats. And then naturally the last fusion I'm playing, 1 Vortex, because Vortex is just absolutely amazing. It negates so much. No more explanation needed. And then my side deck, I was playing 3 Denko. I was potentially anticipating maybe a couple of Trickstar players to be going, so that was a way to shut them out a bit. It was also pretty useful. I also thought it might help because one of the guys in my locals plays Mech Knight, so I thought if I opened that turn 1, then they at least can't set anything and summon to my field. Sadly, it didn't work out so well because all they had to do was activate a continuous spell. All they had to do was just activate a continuous spell and then special summon to the same zone. But I thought it would at least try and stall. Next card I was playing was 3 Bell. This was mainly for if I came across any Go Key to try and stop them. to try and stop the revives, like from the rematch and a couple other matchups as well. I think I sided it in against Trickstar, against Sky Striker, so they couldn't recur off the Kagari. So yeah, lots of really good options in Bell. I would never main Bell because Grave's not as important as the deck, so Ash is definitely better to main over Bell, but Bell is a very good option for going as a side option. And I was glad I played it. Next, this was a really good choice I came up with for going into time. Triple Firecracker. So Firecracker has the effect, if it's in your hand, in either player's turn, you can discard it to hit your opponent for 1,000, and then you skip your next draw. But you skip your next draw phase. So originally my idea for coming up with something to burn in time was to use Performer Power Extra Slinger, but Extra Slinger is only really good in the main phase. Firecracker can be done at absolutely any time. This is another card I came up with for siding against Trickstars as well, so if they set up a massive board on their turn and you've got this in your hand, you can just, at their end phase, drop Firecracker, hit them for 1,000. Since you're going to skip your draw phase, you take absolutely no burn damage off Lycoris in your draw phase. But it does have its disadvantages, particularly when my match against Mech Knight. I did Firecracker in their turn to try and hit for damage because we were getting close to time in game 3, and I kind of just wanted to secure the advantage after I hit for a lot of damage. So I just tried to sort that to give myself that bit of edge. Unfortunately, it did not pay off in the end. They were able to hit back to get ahead of me by like 200 points, and unfortunately I had no cards left in my hand afterwards, so I just had absolutely nothing to go off of when it came to my turn, and that cost me the game. But I'm still glad I played it because it just has its nice uses, but it does have its risks. Next, triple red reboot. Put this in my side on the off chance maybe I faced against Altergeist. Also pretty good against Paleo. I wasn't sure if I was going to be expecting that, but it's just a really good option to have in the sideboard, particularly if you're anticipating maybe getting evenly matched. So that's just a way to stop the evenly match for one turn. And speaking of evenly matched, that was the last card I played in my side deck, 3 evenly matched. I don't think I sided this at all during the tournament. I didn't really have any matchups where it was a big deal, and I didn't want to side too heavily, but evenly matched is just an absolutely great game-changing card, so I figured I'd go with it. Okay, so that's the profile, guys. I hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments what you think. And also, as I said earlier, if you liked the Invoked Magician build, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a bit more of me playing the Invoked Magicians. I am currently in the position of trying to alter Magicians to the Cybernetic Horizon. Once I've got something figured out for that, I will post it up. I'm also thinking more about going into Invoked. I was thinking more about trying Invoked into something else, like when the Thunder Dragons come out. I've seen a couple builds online for an Invoked Thunder Dragons, so I was thinking about trying it like that. I might pick up some of the reprints of the Invoked this weekend when it comes out. But yeah, if you guys like the Invoked Magician build, let me know in the comments, and I'll try and play more of it if I can. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.